This podcast may contain sensitive material that may not be suitable for some audiences. Don't listen to it if you're too sensitive, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, let's start. It's been too long.
Commissions is like hoping commissions will do anything for you is like super. This is like you'd probably have to have a huge following to, and then like make a Patreon or something. It's so hard to make money off of art.
And
like,
anything
seriously.
works. Like if I get 100 a week from commissions, that's still something.
Yeah, and that's still
if I do get commissions, that is.
And that's still kind of like luck.
Yeah.
You have to have a following for it. Yeah, because it's really hard. But I mean, I'm not like being negative. I think I'm just like talking. I'm just like, yeah, because I know how hard it is for me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I hope the best for you, seriously.
Yeah.
Because if anyone can make money off of art, like even just like $30, it's still really good. There's a bunch of people on the internet that won't even pay like $5. So
yeah, because they don't see the value and the time that goes into drawing. They only see the finished product.
Yeah, and then also a lot of they don't see the time and the effort, and then a lot of people that ask are usually broke. So
why would they?
And they put art as, I know, right? They put art as like this really low priority in terms of paying. So they'll be fine paying for like a $50 shirt, but when it's art,
yeah,
they're like, oh no, I don't want to pay more than $10. And that's the sad thing. Like it's just really difficult altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if, and then there's always these things like, there's always this thing that goes around I see that they're like, oh, a lot of it is like kids and they can't afford to pay for your $20 commissions. And I'm like, dude, you know Fortnite has a huge child fan base, and you know what they do? Those children are spending hundreds of dollars on that video game.
Yeah,
if you were to tell me that a child cannot afford $20 on a commission that they choose to want, you are lying to yourself. You really think kids don't have money? They do have money. They absolutely do have money. But like seriously, like, oh my god, I say like a lot. That's just the way I talk.
That's fine.
I'm rambling, dude.
Oh no,
dude,
no
I literally got heated from that.
No, it was interesting. Listening to what you thought.
People using the kids excuse. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm listening to you too.
From what I've seen from these commentary artist channels, with their experience with kids, every time the kids want it for free, they always pull up these BS excuses about like their parents having cancer or something, or it's their birthday, trying to make the artist feel sorry for them just to give them free art.
Yeah, there's a lot of like shitlords that do that. Like kids definitely, I think, do it a lot because they're just not mature enough to like understand what actually goes into talented stuff. But like even like older people like don't see that. I mean, I shouldn't say that because there's a lot of people like normies that know nothing about art and they're still willing to pay a lot of money for it. But I just mean like it's different when you're drawing cartoons versus if you're doing like a wall painting. Society just sees those two arts kind of differently. Like anime art is like little cartoon piece is like worthless, and then like a wall art, the more normies are more likely to be willing to spend like $200 on something like that. 200 to 500. I know there's this one artist on Guam. She was my teacher for a little bit, and she sells her paintings for $1,000 each.
Shit.
And she gets buyers.
Oh,
And she doesn't even advertise it. She just posts it on like, cause there's a restaurant downstairs that's popular with like white people. So she just posts it on the wall there, with their permission, and it's like, I think there's like a for sale sign, and so whenever someone eats there, they'll just ask to buy it. It's pretty cool.
I'm lucky. Oh man, I should
crazy.
start getting into wall paintings now, like scenery.
And the thing with like the wall painting shit is like, it's not like fan art, or it's not someone telling you to draw their OC. You can draw literally whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
You can draw any kind of like background you want, or just, of course it has to be within reason. Like nobody wants a anime picture. I mean, like usually these normies are gonna buy like scenic stuff, but you can literally draw anything, like any kind of beach you want, or any kind of animals you want in the photo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean the drawing in the painting. So it's even better on your end if you like to do original art over someone telling you, "Oh, I want. Can you make like a pink cat and put like a little ribbon on his head, and looking at the camera, and also make sure it glitters in the sunlight?"
That's a funny example, but I'm trying to feel it out. Like I don't really know what I want. I'm still exploring my options, because I'm fine with drawing anime or OCs, scenery, realism. I've done everything. It's just,
it's whatever you're passionate about and whatever you feel like you won't get burnt out on.
Yeah, and I feel like I am gonna get burnt out doing realism. It's just boring. Like all I'm doing
it is
copying
I don't do it.
the reference. So
yeah, that's why you have to find a ground where you're comfortable with it, and also
so maybe I'll change
money.
my base. Like I might transfer to a more anime style, so that way I won't get burnt out and bored just doing the same.
I mean,
shit.
you're doing good so far from what I'm seeing. Looks pretty anime to me.
Oh, thanks. I was even trying with the line art, to be honest.
Honestly, you don't have to.
I was just experimenting.
As long as the art looks good in the end.
Yeah.
Like you can, like, there's this one artist that I follow, and they have like 200,000 followers, and they just post doodles, like sketches on paper. They don't even render their art.
Really?
So it literally doesn't matter.
Fuck.
It's just whatever you feel like.
Because, fuck.
But
like I hate line art.
But like I said,
it always looks good.
Yeah. Oh my god, I keep talking. I keep interrupting you. Go ahead.
I'll keep going. That's all I wanted to say.
Oh, okay. Because, like I said, with the marketing thing, that's what matters in the end. It you can have like shit art, and you're still gonna have people that look at your art if you're really good at marketing. Some people, it really depends on what you do specifically. It's really tricky question to cover, or like topic, because it just has to hit an audience, and also a lot of it has to do with luck.
That's what I was saying when I wanted to cater to the fandoms, because I think I'll more likely get an audience from doing that than just posting random portraits of celebrities.
Yeah. Well, like I said, like I said this like 5 times already in the call, but just make sure it's something you want to do. It's something you're okay with drawing.
Yeah. Well,
like, don't just draw like a bunch of random anime characters that you don't care about. You're only doing it for popularity. Because it's not worth it. It just ends up being like art you don't even care about once you're done. I drew this one character from this one anime I watched like one time.
Yeah.
And I have no love for, and it's a nice art piece, but I don't even look at it. I have no interest in that piece versus something that you're actually gonna like looking at. You want to have in your portfolio or whatever. It depends on the person.
So, what do you suggest I do? Stick with one fandom, or what do you recommend?
So, multi-fandom people still do really well.
Mm-hmm.
But they at least cater to 2 fandoms. If you want to be multi-fandom, that's like drawing a bunch of different things from different shows. Well, in the beginning, like maybe later on, they can do different things, but they at least cater to two fandoms. You don't have to stick to one fandom. And honestly, I don't recommend doing it anyways, even though it has its own niche that might help with growing. Like I said, if you ever get tired of that thing, drawing that thing, and you want to draw something else, they're not going to follow you anymore, or they're going to stop engaging with your art. You're going to go from like 1K per piece to like 300. So yeah, if you want to, just maybe but yeah, have it be something you're interested in. Maybe do like 2 fandoms at a time. If I'm saying 2, because if you do more than that, you're probably not going to make enough content to be noticed. If you're drawing like more than 2 fandoms, I mean, you can still do like one or 2 or 3 art pieces because you're like, oh, I just wanted to draw this one character from this one show I watched. But I'm talking about like catering, because unless you're a really fast artist or you come up with a lot of ideas, you're not going to have enough time to cater to all 3 or 4 fandoms at one time and be noticed by these fandoms. So start with 2. If you get a following, you can go up to 3 and hopefully get a following from that 3rd fandom. This is what I've seen people do. And then they'll go for a 4th, Animal Crossing. And by the time you have your following, it's better to stick with fandoms that are not niche anymore, because you want your old following to still stick with you, along with getting new people to follow you. So that's why I'm saying like Animal Crossing, because everyone loves Animal Crossing.
Oh yeah.
Or even if they don't love it, they at least know what it is. Like I'm just saying, as like future fandoms from there, if you want to draw for things, it should be something everyone can relate to, versus drawing making your 4th fandom like this anime, like with the 1 season and doesn't have any fan base ever.
I understand. Like even Marvel, it doesn't have to be anime. Everyone knows Marvel, and so I think
I'm just using anime as an example. But yeah,
can't go wrong with
everyone knows Marvel, so they'll follow you for that. There's some artists that I've discovered because they're multi-fandom artists, but one day they decided to do Avatar: The Last Airbender fan art, and then people were liking their former fan base were liking their post, plus the Avatar: The Last Airbender fans were liking their post.
Yeah, all dependent on the algorithm or what's popular at the time. Yeah.
And that's why a lot of artists were jumping on the Avatar: The Last Airbender game. I'm sure they actually loved the thing, but it's also really good for boosting engagement with your with trying to get people to follow you. That's why, remember with that Bowsette meme that went around? Man. Literally every artist under the sun was drawing that, and I want to say at least half of them, it's not because they like the character, it's not because they think it's funny, it's a way to put yourself out there towards an audience that wouldn't otherwise find you. So definitely hop on meme trains when they happen, because that is a way, as long as it's not offensive, like and won't get you canceled in the future. Like if you were to draw like, I don't know, Corona-chan, that might, and then you get like a sensitive fan base in the future, they might use that against you.
Yeah.
So just, or if you draw like what is it? No, she's not that bad. If you draw like an innocent artwork of Uzaki, that's fine. If you're going to draw her with huge tits because it's funny and you think people will like it, you will get canceled later on. Probably if you get a sensitive fan base. But you can also get an edgelord fan base. It depends. But with fandom stuff, people are usually left-leaning. I know. It's like, it depends. Like, if you want to have an edgelord fan base, you have to start at the beginning.
Oh, man.
So don't accumulate a fandom fan base where everyone is left-leaning and then you suddenly start posting edgy art. Getting an edgelord fan base starts early. You just post things
Mm-hmm.
like for example, Uzaki-chan, just mock the controversy or whatever, you'll get followers that way. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. It's just, but it has to be something you're interested in. Just don't just do it because you're, and then don't just do it because you think it's funny, but then later on you want to cater to a left-leaning audience. Because, like I said, that's how you get canceled. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really tricky. It's a lot of things like you should think of early. And I know, like, I'm bringing up too many topics. Like, you might end up overthinking it. But you don't have anxiety, so I don't think it's going to harm you as much as if I was telling this to someone who has like issues with
Mm-hmm.
overthinking already. I'm just saying this as things to consider.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't have to take all the advice I give. You can throw out as much as you want, but this is more like just what my thoughts are, what I've seen, my experience on the internet. It's
Understandable. But yeah. But would you say that it's okay to cater to multiple fandoms if your art style is very noticeable? Because when people see your art, they'll follow you mostly because they like how you've adapted that art style with different characters. Because that's what I notice.
okay. So it depends what the art style is,
Yeah.
first and foremost, because you can have a unique art style and it looks like shit. There right now, you kind of have to, if you're trying to go for art style specifically, you have to think of what gets people traction. So right now, like 90s retro kind of style is popular. I'm not saying to do that because that's literally copying and that's not original. But I mean, like, if that's popular, your art style should take aspects of that. So, like, I've seen artists like their art style is completely different from retro anime art, but they're known for their art style because it'll be like really vibrant, and it'll fit to a certain aesthetic. You can do more different things. Like, there's this one artist who draws like really creepy things,
Uh-huh.
or creepy dolls. I mean, you can gain a following, but it's just it's hard. It's not, art style doesn't really matter
Oh,
as
really?
much as marketing and the content of your art does.
I guess so, but I would think that it has a little bit to do with it. When someone sees a certain art style, they could identify like who drew it. If you look at Shadbase, and then you see a random work of his, you could immediately tell that he drew it. You know?
So the thing with that is, it doesn't, like, everyone's art style is unique.
Uh-huh.
So even if you say that, like, you can have some, like, my art style looks like kind of like a copy of Disney but slightly altered.
Yeah.
That's more dependent on popularity more than the art style itself. Because everyone's art style is unique to a certain extent. Some are more out there than others, but if
Yeah.
your art is seen enough and connected to your name, people are going to know it's your art, even if your art is generally not super unique. Like, there's this one artist, and they draw like, it doesn't have to be art style specifically, but there's this one artist, shoot, I'm trying to find a picture. They draw anime girls, but their eyes always look psychotic. And it's not that their art style is unique, it's just that all their anime girls have psychotic eyes.
Yeah.
And that's what makes them stand out. I don't know how to answer that question. It depends, because, like, you can have a unique art style and not have a fan base. It doesn't.
I guess so. Yeah.
It's dependent on other things more than what you draw. Like,
Uh-huh.
so you can do something that's unique to you, but in the end, it doesn't have I don't think it has much an effect on, like, how much followers you have or how noticed you are.
But it sure does help find me, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, it does, but don't just like put something unique because you think it'll make people identify your art. Just make sure that's actually something you want to do. that's actually something you like, drawing on these characters, or, well, as an art style, it's not something I would recommend just sitting around thinking about, like, oh, what's the unique thing about this, about my art style that should be noticed? Because the I think it's something you find along the way. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't help that much with marketing, but it might.